Question 231. You need to optimize batch file transfers into cloud storage for Mountkirk Games' new Google Cloud solution. The batch files contain game statistics that need to be staged in cloud storage and be processed by an extract transform load (ETL) tool. What should you do? A. Use Xutil to batch move files in sequence. B. Use Xutil to batch copy the files in parallel. C. Use Xutil to extract the files as the first part of ETL. D. Use Xutil to load the files as the last part of ETL. The best approach is to use Xutil to batch copy the files in parallel. This ensures efficient and fast transfers by leveraging parallelism, reducing the overall transfer time when handling large files. Google Cloud recommends parallel transfers for better throughput. Why other options are incorrect? A. Using Xutil to batch move files in sequence is inefficient because it processes files one by one, significantly increasing transfer time. C. Using Xutil to extract files as the first part of ETL is incorrect because Xutil is a file transfer tool, not an ETL extraction tool. D. Using Xutil to load files as the last part of ETL is incorrect because loading the files into cloud storage is a prerequisite for ETL processing, not the final step. Question 232. You are implementing Firestore for Mountkirk Games. Mountkirk Games wants to give a new game programmatic access to a legacy game's Firestore database. Access should be as restricted as possible. What should you do? A. Create a service account, SA, in the legacy game's Google Cloud project, add a second SA in the new game's IAM page, and then give the organization admin role to both SAs. B. Create a service account, SA, in the legacy game's Google Cloud project, give the SA the organization admin role, and then give it the Firebase admin role in both projects. C. Create a service account, SA, in the legacy game's Google Cloud project, add this SA in the new game's IAM page, and then give it the Firebase admin role in both projects. D. Create a service account, SA, in the legacy game's Google Cloud project, give it the Firebase admin role, and then migrate the new game to the legacy games project. The best approach is to create a service account, SA, in the legacy game's Google Cloud project, add this SA to the new game's IAM page, and grant it the Firebase admin role in both projects. This approach follows the principle of least privilege while ensuring secure access. Why other options are incorrect? A. Granting the organization admin role to both SAs is excessive and violates security best practices, as it grants full control over the entire Google Cloud organization. B. Granting the organization admin role to a single SA is also too broad and unnecessary for Firestore access. D. Migrating the new game to the legacy project is not required just to enable access. IAM policies can be used to grant access without moving projects. Question 233. Mountkirk Games wants to limit the physical location of resources to their operating Google Cloud regions. What should you do? A. Configure an organizational policy which constrains where resources can be deployed. B. Configure IAM conditions to limit what resources can be configured. C. Configure the quotas for resources in the regions not being used to 0. D. Configure a custom alert in cloud monitoring so you can disable resources as they are created in other regions. The best approach is to configure an organizational policy that constrains where resources can be deployed. This ensures that resources are only provisioned in the approved regions, preventing accidental deployments elsewhere. Why other options are incorrect? B. IAM conditions control access permissions but do not enforce deployment location constraints. C. Setting resource quotas to 0 in undesired regions is not a reliable enforcement mechanism because quotas can be modified or bypassed. D. Cloud monitoring alerts do not prevent deployments, they only notify administrators after resources have been created. Question 234. You need to implement a network ingress for a new game that meets the defined business and technical requirements. Mountkirk Games wants each regional game instance to be located in multiple Google Cloud regions. What should you do? A. Configure a global load balancer connected to a managed instance group running compute engine instances. B. Configure kubemc with a global load balancer and Google Kubernetes engine. C. Configure a global load balancer with Google Kubernetes Engine. D. Configure ingress for Anthos with a global load balancer and Google Kubernetes Engine. The best answer is C. Configure a global load balancer with Google Kubernetes Engine. Explanation: Mountkirk Games requires each regional game instance to be located in multiple Google Cloud regions. This means the solution should support multi-region deployments while providing efficient ingress traffic management. Google Kubernetes Engine, GKE, is the best choice for managing containerized workloads across multiple regions. To handle ingress traffic efficiently, a global load balancer is needed. Google Cloud HTTP/S load balancing is a global service that can distribute traffic across multiple regions, ensuring high availability and low latency for players worldwide. Analysis of other options. A. This option is suitable for virtual machine-based deployments but does not leverage Kubernetes, which is a better fit for scalable game server workloads. B. kubemc was an earlier solution for multi-cluster ingress in Kubernetes but has been deprecated in favor of native GKE multi-cluster ingress. Using kubemc is not recommended. D. Anthos Service Mesh is useful for service-to-service communication and advanced networking needs but is not required for basic global ingress. A standard global load balancer with GKE is sufficient for this use case. Conclusion: configuring a global load balancer with Google Kubernetes Engine provides multi-region deployment, automatic scaling, and efficient traffic distribution while keeping the architecture manageable and cost-effective. Question 235. Your development teams release new versions of games running on Google Kubernetes Engine, GKE, daily. You want to create service-level indicators, SLEs, to evaluate the quality of the new versions from the user's perspective. What should you do? A. Create CPU utilization and request latency as service-level indicators. B. Create GKE CPU utilization and memory utilization as service-level indicators. C. Create request latency and error rate as service-level indicators. D. Create server uptime and error rate as service-level indicators. The best approach is to use request latency and error rate as service-level indicators. These metrics directly measure user experience and service reliability, aligning with best practices for monitoring application performance. Why other options are incorrect? A. CPU utilization does not directly measure user experience or service quality. B. Memory and CPU utilization are system-level metrics but do not reflect the user's perspective on service quality. D. Server uptime is an availability metric but does not indicate performance or error rates experienced by users. Question 236. Mountkirk Games wants you to secure the connectivity from the new gaming application platform to Google Cloud. You want to streamline the process and follow Google recommended practices. What should you do? A. Configure workload identity and service accounts to be used by the application platform. B. Use Kubernetes secrets, which are obfuscated by default. Configure these secrets to be used by the application platform. C. Configure Kubernetes secrets to store the secret, enable application layer secrets encryption, and use Cloud Key Management Service, Cloud KMS, to manage the encryption keys. Configure these secrets to be used by the application platform. D. Configure HashiCorp Vault on Compute Engine, and use customer-managed encryption keys and Cloud Key Management Service, Cloud KMS, to manage the encryption keys. Configure these secrets to be used by the application platform. Correct answer, A. Workload identity and service accounts provide secure authentication and authorization, aligning with Google Cloud's best practices. Incorrect options. B. Kubernetes secrets are not encrypted by default and are not the recommended authentication method. C. While Cloud KMS improves security, workload identity is the preferred approach for secure service communication. D. HashiCorp Vault is not required. Google Cloud has built-in IAM and identity management solutions. Question 237. Your development team has created a mobile game app. You want to test the new mobile app on Android and iOS devices with a variety of configurations. You need to ensure that testing is efficient and cost-effective. What should you do? A. Upload your mobile app to the Firebase Test Lab and test the mobile app on Android and iOS devices. B. Create Android and iOS VMs on Google Cloud, install the mobile app on the VMs, and test the mobile app. C. Create Android and iOS containers on Google Kubernetes Engine, GKE, install the mobile app on the containers, and test the mobile app. D. Upload your mobile app with different configurations to Firebase hosting and test each configuration. Correct answer, A. Firebase Test Lab provides an efficient, scalable, and cost-effective way to test mobile apps on real and virtual devices. Incorrect options. B. Manually creating VMs for mobile testing is inefficient and lacks device diversity. C. Running mobile tests on GKE does not replicate real device conditions. D. Firebase hosting is for web apps, not mobile testing. Question 238. Termatha's CTO wants to use the raw data from connected vehicles to help identify approximately when a vehicle in the field will have a catastrophic failure. You want to allow analysts to centrally query the vehicle data. Which architecture should you recommend? A is correct. As explained in the Designing a Connected Vehicle Platform on Cloud IoT Core case study. 1. Google Cloud Dataflow plays a critical role in transforming, enriching, and storing telemetry data by leveraging distributed data pipelines. 2. Cloud Pub Sub is crucial for handling the streams of vehicle data while decoupling the backend processing, ensuring scalability and flexibility. The decision now comes down to 2 key points. 1. Cloud SQL versus BigQuery for analytics. 2. GKE, with or without Anthos, plus cloud load balancing versus App Engine for backend processing. For the first point, BigQuery is undoubtedly the better choice for analytics. Given the data volume of 9 terabits per day, along with additional data during vehicle servicing, Cloud SQL lacks the scalability to handle such a high throughput. BigQuery is designed for large-scale, high-performance analytics, making it the preferred option. For the second point, GKE with cloud load balancing is a superior choice compared to App Engine. App Engine operates within a single region, which can introduce latency when vehicles are distributed across different locations. On the other hand, GKE allows deploying clusters in multiple regions, and cloud load balancing can route requests to the nearest cluster, reducing latency and making the feedback loop more real-time. This setup is more aligned with the platform's need for low latency and high availability infrastructure. Question 239. The Termath development team wants to create an API to meet the company's business requirements. You want the development team to focus their development effort on business value versus creating a custom framework. Which method should they use? A. Use Google App Engine with Google Cloud endpoints. Focus on an API for dealers and partners. B. Use Google App Engine with AJXRS Jersey Java-based framework. Focus on an API for the public. C. Use Google App Engine with the Swagger, Open API Specification, framework. Focus on an API for the public. D. Use Google Container Engine with a Django Python container. Focus on an API for the public. E. Use Google Container Engine with a Tomcat container with the Swagger, Open API Specification, framework. Focus on an API for dealers and partners. Correct answer, A. Using Google App Engine with cloud endpoints simplifies API management and allows developers to focus on business logic. Incorrect options. B. JXRS Jersey is not a managed API framework. C. Swagger, OpenAPI, is useful but does not provide the management capabilities of cloud endpoints. D. Django on GKE requires more operational overhead. E. Tomcat with Swagger is not a fully managed API solution. Question 240. Your development team has created a structured API to retrieve vehicle data. They want to allow third parties to develop tools for dealerships that use this vehicle event data. You want to support delegated authorization against this data. What should you do? A. Build or leverage an auth-compatible access control system. B. Build SAML 2.0 SSO compatibility into your authentication system. C. Restrict data access based on the source IP address of the partner systems. D. Create secondary credentials for each dealer that can be given to the trusted third party. Correct answer, A. OAuth is the industry standard for delegated authorization, allowing third parties to access data securely. Incorrect options. B. SAML 2.0 is for authentication, not delegated authorization. C. Restricting access by IP is not scalable or secure. D. Secondary credentials violate best practices for access control.